Okay, we're going to go over week one and getting started in your assignment. Just so you know, open lab times have been updated. So click on the open lab times from the home page and you'll see them there. One thing I wanted to reiterate as well was the course or agenda for each one of the sessions as far as each Monday. You'll check in from 4:15 to 4:30 at the front of the class. From 4:30 to 5:15 is a time where we will go over that week's topics. Usually I have a slideshow and some examples. From 5:15 to 6:15, we'll generally do an in-class exercise and submit it. Then from 6:15 to 7:15, 7:25, the end of the class is open lab time to work on your homework for that week or the prior week. Each one of the assignments or the assignments due each week is due the following Monday. And so I'll be updating the deadlines of the assignments to be, instead of Sunday night at 11:59, it'll be Monday night at 11:59. That way, if you need to complete an assignment from the week before, you'll have time at that class, each Monday's class. So in week one, if you come to week two and you've not completed week one yet, you can complete it after class session in week two. Or if you want to do it the other way, you can complete your assignment for that current week during the open lab time. If you don't have time to stay during the open lab time or don't want to, you can go to the open lab times that are available Monday through Friday. Okay. So let's talk about week one, which had a lot of little stuff to do. Do not get overwhelmed by it, but there is a lot of little bitty things you have to do on week one. But you'll notice if I forward fast to week two, week three, so on and so forth, a lot fewer assignments. In fact, to make it look even better, if you click on the syllabus or grades, either one, the syllabus will break it down by when things are due. Again, the due dates I'm going to be moving from Sunday night at 11:59 to Monday at 11:59 on everything. But you'll notice week one, a lot of little stuff. We already did in class, the in-class exercise. And then you just have left the week one assignment for week one. As far as the in-class exercise, by the way, is always a build on or added to from the in-class. So the in-class, you remember, was the storyboard, or not the storyboard, the playground. And one assignment is the same thing. So again, a lot of stuff is due on week one, but you'll notice weeks 2, 3, so on and so forth, assignments are generally 2 to 3 assignments each week. One is a discussion, in class, and a take-home assignment. Discussion, in class, and take-home assignment is generally the makeup of each week after week one. So let's talk about week one assignment, which is, again, the playground, where you'll download this file, uncompress it, start Xcode, and if you get the warning about opening up off the internet, accept it. You'll go over all the examples in the playground. At the bottom of it, you'll see an exercise comment. That's where I'm going to pick up here to show you how to get started. Most weeks, by the way, except for week one, I do have a podcast. In fact, if you click on modules, is the easiest way to get to each week's assignments. So week two is understanding variables. If I click on to assignment, you'll notice there is a podcast. And this podcast specifically is designed to help you with week two assignment. Also, you'll notice at the bottom of week two, there's an example source code. So if I click on that, it brings me to the actual file source code to help us with week two, help you with week two. The podcast, I'll click on that to show you. It basically is a YouTube video to show you how to declare variables in Swift. So all the week's assignments will generally have a podcast and source code to look at. Okay, so let's go back to week one. Week one, this is the podcast you're listening to, and the source code you really don't need for week one. So I'm going to go ahead and download this file. And it'll bring it up into this Dropbox directory. If you click over here on this ellipsis, click download. And it should bring it to the downloads directory in the Mac. And notice it's in my downloads. I'm going to double click on one assignment. And there's the playground file right there. I'm going to go ahead and copy this my playground file. And I'm going to put it on my desktop just so I know where it's at. And so there it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that, double click on that playground file on your Mac. It should open up Xcode. And then it's going to take a minute and then it'll prompt you to let you know it's downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? Yes, I want to open it. And then this process might take a little bit to get started. I want to make sure and let the simulator start where my mouse is circling here on the overhead on the top here. And over on the right side here, while it's still launching the simulator, I'm going to click right here to where the line comes over a little bit in the middle. And then I'm also going to click this icon here, which gives me the bottom screen to show my printouts. So while that's compiling, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this file. Basically, it starts out with talking about variables. So you'll notice here, variable types are either string, double, float, bool, or int. Variables cannot start with a number. When declaring variables, use a var prefix. Variable type, like str, dbl for double, str for string, fl for float, bl for boolean, int for int. The name of the variable, the equal sign, then the value with quotes if it's a string, without quotes if it's a number. So an example of an implicit type, var str place of birth equals Middletown, New York, will implicitly say, because this is a string in quotes, str birth is now a string. Examples of explicitly declaring a type, it's the variable name, var space variable name, colon, then int, says it's an integer, equals 46. Example of a constant variable is a let statement. Let int age equals 47. If I uncomment this line here and try to redeclare int age, notice I get an error. If I click on it, it says you cannot assign int age to a let constant. I'm going to put the comment back in there. Next is an example of a variable that can be changed. Var int my age is 47. I'm going to change it here to 46, and it does. Next, showing variables format and examples of putting variables together in a string. So here we have var str my age equals, and the whole concept of this is to concatenate strings together with a variable. So here I have a string, just text. Here's a variable. And you'll notice when you put a variable in a string, it's this format always. It's the backslash and then in parentheses, beginning and in parentheses, the name of the variable. So like in this case, I was born in str place of birth and my age is str years old. So Middletown, New York is str place of birth, str years old is 45. Making a new line using the print statement. I was born in Middletown, New York. My age is 45. Print ln, and no longer print ln no longer exists within. So print is the only one that we can use. What I can do is I can come in here and do a \n in this, and you'll notice it doesn't show up here. It doesn't show up here, but it will if I use the print statement below. In fact, let me do it here. I'll do a \n. And you'll notice here at the bottom, it wrapped that line of code. I was born in Middleton, New York, and my age is 45. You notice this bottom print statement. If I take this n out, go below, let's get rid of the so running the playground. Let me go ahead and come up here. Still running. Let it complete running here. And sometimes your playground will get stuck like this where it's not, you'll notice on mine I made a change here. It still has the /n in here. And if it doesn't stop really soon, what I generally do is I'll come up here and make sure and save it. Then I'll go up here and close it and then reopen it. And usually that will fix it. So we'll see here. After it gets through compiling, we'll see the print statement here. And then your exercise, once that comes up, by the way, I'll show you. You're going to declare a string for your first name. So here I'll go with an example. I'll do str first name equals Chuck in quotes. And declare a string variable for last name. There str last name equals last name in quotes. Then declare a variable for phone number. So there str phone number, or I'll just put phone equals 815-713-6321. This could also be an integer as long as you don't have anything but numbers in here. And var is lowercase, and make sure it's spelled correctly, like mine wasn't. Then next, declare a variable for email. Str email. Lastly, I'm going to declare an integer for age. Combine all the variables together in a print format to print these 5 lines. So I want it to be my first name is Chuck, last name is Conkle, phone number, years old. And I'll fulfill it here. print statement. print. I'll put it below this comment because this right here, by the way, is a beginning comment, ending comment. So I'm going to put it below here. Left right parentheses. I'm going to put my quotes in there. And I'm going to put in here my first name is, and I'm going to put a variable. So it's backslash and then parentheses, the name for first name, which is str first name. I'm highlighting that and copying it, which is Command C and Command V. And I'm just going to highlight that and copy that because I know I'm going to need. So what my last name is. str last name. And then my phone number is str phone. I am 49 years old. I am old. And looks like there's, oh, I don't have an email on there. Email is str email, right parentheses, and quote. Right parentheses. Okay, I'm going to save it. Okay, so it's still running my compiling, so I'm going to try to just X out of Xcode altogether this time. I'm going to go to the location where I saved the file on my desktop. And the reason I'm doing that again, you'll notice it kept loading and loading and loading. A lot of times if it does that, it's a simulator issue, not working right. So just let it sit there, don't do anything while it's loading and launching the simulator like it's doing right now. Sometimes that takes a little bit, but we should at the end of this get some printouts at the bottom of this playground of the 5 print statements. Okay, there we go. Finally came up. Now let's look at the bottom 5. That's what you should be completed on yours. My first name, my last name, my phone number, I am, however years old, and then my email is. So that's completed. And by the way, over here on the right side is our debug information. You'll notice sometimes it has information like this -n. Well, you'll notice that doesn't show up here on the print statement. So disregard. This is actually just for debug purposes to look at stuff. Don't worry about, by the way, getting rid of the code here, the output, because that's in the exercise, so leave that in there. And what I'll be looking for is these last 5 lines of code or output from your print statement that you did everything correctly underneath the exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and hit File Save. Go to Xcode, quit Xcode. And then here is that file on my desktop. I'm going to Control click compress it. And in week 1, in my subsequent weeks, I just have you name it your last name. And then go into week 1. And I'm going to go change this to student view so you can see what it looks like to upload. So there we go. One assignment. Submit it. Hit the choose button. Click desktop. There's my Conquer zip. Submit it. And it shows I turned it in. And now I've completed week 1. Okay. Before you come to class on week 2, let's go back. There is reading, by the way, for week 1 and week 2, and it's not a lot of reading. It just overview basically. Chapters 1, 3, 5, and 7. That's of the book that you are to have downloaded in the Getting Started, and I'll go back to show you where that's at. So when you did the Getting Started, the new student, one of the things you had to do was to download this iOS 10 PDF textbook. When you downloaded that, that's what you'll use for most of your reading. So in week 1, again, there's not a lot of reading in these chapters. So it's 1, 3, 5, and 5 through 7. 1, 3, 5 through 7, which got a lot that goes over Xcode Playground. Week 2 reading is 4 and 16. So I'll show you real quickly, like for instance, chapter 4. Look at that for week 2. So when you download this, it'll download it to your computer, your Mac or PC. And when you find the page that you want to go to, like for instance, chapter 4 is a guide of of Xcode. Let's go back to some of the reading here you have for week 1. Which is 1, 3, and then 5 through 7. Okay, finally. So chapter 1 is basically just for new developers, and it's 2 pages. 3 is 2 pages on installing Windows Xcode 8 and 10. Again, if you don't have a Mac, it's really just doing a lot of reading on that. If you do have a Mac, it might help. 5 is Xcode Playground, like we went over in class. That one's a number of pages, but each one of these pages is really short and sweet. 6, same, Swift types, constants, variables. 7, Swift operations and expressions, Swift flow control. That's all variable types. And when you go to those pages, again, not a lot of of reading to do, just more examples to look at. So that's your reading, and I would suggest between now and week 2 to go over that. The download cheat sheet for week 1 is basically just a cheat sheet to show some of the references to help you when you're declaring code in Swift. Okay, some of these we've already went over in week 1, and we'll go over more in subsequent weeks. But this is just a cheat sheet for you to have that I think will be helpful for you. Before coming into class, definitely go over your reading for week 1. And if you have time, I know it's a lot, but if you do have time, reading for week 2 goes over the contents for Xcode environment and doing basically your very first app. So Xcode and very first app on week 2. So again, just if nothing else, browse through that to make sure that you have at least browsed through that reading. If you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email. And again, Monday, 4:15 to 4:30 is going to be where we check in. 4:30 to 5:15 is course content on that week, that week's content, which in week 2, we're covering more of variables and understanding variables. From 5:15 to 6:15 will be in-class exercise. And then you'll have open lab from 6:15 to 7:25. So have a great semester. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.